Imagine this: a casual conversation, an everyday exchange, nothing hinting at conflict. But suddenly, a phrase spoken in passing, a word with the wrong nuance, an unintended tone of voice. And just like that, an invisible wall seems to rise between you and your conversation partner. You sense that something has shifted, but you can't quite grasp what it is. Then comes the distance, the coldness, as if all the trust built over weeks, months, or even years has suddenly become as fragile as a thin layer of ice underfoot. Familiar? Most likely. We've all found ourselves in such situations, and more often than not when this happens, a thought arises. But I didn't say anything wrong. This is exactly how connections between people begin to erode, not through shouting or dramatic arguments, but through these barely perceptible cracks. Now think about this. How many times in your life have you felt that someone just doesn't understand you? That you explain, you talk, maybe even raise your voice, but it's like speaking to a wall, as if your conversation partner exists in a completely different reality where your words mean something entirely different. Maybe they get angry, maybe they withdraw, or maybe they just nod silently. But you can feel it. The connection is lost. And yet, from the other side, the same thing happens to you. Someone says something, and suddenly a wave of irritation rises within you, or hurt, or exhaustion. And now you're no longer listening to what they're saying. You're just thinking about how to end the conversation as quickly as possible. But speech is not just a collection of sounds. It is the key to human connection. It is the bridge that links us to each other, and if it is built carelessly, without thought, without considering each other's nuances and needs, it will not withstand the weight placed upon it. We rarely realize how powerful words are, how they can wound or heal, how they can build trust or completely shatter it, and it's not always the obvious things like insults or compliments. No. The most insidious mistakes in communication happen not when we deliberately say something harsh or offensive, but when we simply don't think about how we are being heard. And this is where it gets really interesting. How do you learn to speak in a way that people truly understand you? How do you ensure that your words not only reach the listener, but also inspire them to listen, to respond, to trust you? The answer might be surprising. It's not about mastering rhetoric, using manipulative techniques, or even applying psychological tricks. It's something much more fundamental. It's honesty, but not the kind of honesty that's thrown in someone's face under the pretext of, "I'm just saying it like it is," and not the kind that justifies rudeness or bluntness. This is a different kind of honesty, deep, conscious, rooted in respect and understanding of both yourself and the other person. This is the kind of honesty that the Stoics spoke about. They taught that virtue is not just a moral concept, but a practical tool. A person who lives by Stoic principles does not succumb to anger, does not let emotions dictate their words, and does not lash out at others in a moment of irritation. They speak only as much as necessary, and in a way that ensures they are truly heard. The Stoics believed that the key to harmony in relationships is not the ability to persuade, not the desire to prove one's rightness, and not even the need to be understood at all costs. It is the ability to control oneself, one's reactions, one's speech. Now think, how many times have you said something in the heat of the moment only to regret it later? How many times have you wished you could take back your words, but it was already too late? The Stoics would say that this is the greatest weakness of a person, the inability to manage their own reactions. But what if you could learn to do this? What if there was a way to speak so that instead of damaging relationships, you strengthened them? What if misunderstandings, conflicts, and resentments could be avoided? Not because people have ill intentions, but simply because they don't know how to express their thoughts clearly. And here's where the most important part begins. We'll explore exactly how to apply Stoic principles in real life. How words can become a tool of influence, not through manipulation, but through sincerity. How to avoid destructive communication and ensure that you are truly understood, without distortion, without unnecessary assumptions. Are you ready? Then let's dive in. Personal needs. How to consider them. Every person has their own desires, boundaries, and emotional needs. Ignoring them can lead to dissatisfaction and tension. It's important to honestly acknowledge your own needs and communicate them to your partner or colleague. Respect the desires of others, even if they do not align with yours. Seek compromise rather than suppressing your feelings or pressuring the other person into concessions. Mutual understanding as the key to harmonious relationships. Empathy and openness form the foundation of healthy communication. To maintain mutual understanding, it's crucial to listen to your conversation partner instead of just waiting for your turn to speak. Genuinely engage with the other person's perspective. Be able to admit your mistakes and adjust your behavior if necessary. Why is it important to avoid destructive communication? Destructive communication leads to misunderstandings, conflicts, and emotional distancing. To foster meaningful connections, it's essential to be mindful of your words, your tone, and the impact they have on others. Through conscious, respectful, and honest communication, relationships can be strengthened rather than broken. And the best part? This is a skill that can be developed. By learning to express yourself thoughtfully and sincerely, you can turn words into a powerful tool, not for control or persuasion, but for true understanding. Manipulation, aggression, sarcasm, and blame, the destroyers of relationships. These behaviors create a hostile atmosphere, erode trust, and lead to conflicts and emotional disconnection. Destructive communication breeds misunderstandings and distances people from each other. Instead, it's worth focusing on controlling emotions and avoiding impulsive reactions, expressing thoughts clearly and respectfully, avoiding blame and shifting towards constructive discussion. Stoicism, the philosophy of conscious communication. The philosophy of Stoicism offers valuable principles for strengthening relationships. It teaches us to focus on what is within our control, our reactions, words, and behavior. Practice virtue, honesty, fairness, and patience. Accept differing opinions without resentment or judgment. We've now explored how misunderstandings in communication often arise, not out of malice, but from the simple inability to express thoughts in a way that ensures they are properly understood. We've seen how words can either build bridges or destroy them, and how honesty, rooted in respect, can transform not only personal relationships, but also professional connections. The most important takeaway: there is a solution. It lies in mindfulness in every word, emotional control, and the ability to see a conversation not as a battlefield, but as a space for dialogue. The Stoics taught that calmness is strength, and that honesty backed by virtue is not a weakness but the highest form of mastery. What's next? Start small. The next time a conversation seems to hit a dead end, pause. Think about the words you're about to say, and more importantly, why you are saying them. Ask yourself, will they build trust, or will they make things worse? If the answer isn't in favor of trust, reconsider your approach. Communication is a skill that can be developed. It's not an inborn trait, but a practice that requires effort. If you want to better understand people, express your thoughts clearly and without conflict, and build stronger relationships instead of breaking them, start applying these principles now. If you found this video helpful, learned something new, or reflected on your communication style, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about what truly matters: self-awareness, mindfulness, communication, and personal growth. Give this video a like if this topic resonates with you, and share in the comments. Have you ever experienced a moment where a single word changed everything? Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.